He comes in at 3 a.m., stands in front of the TV and us while we're playing. We're like, what the heck? Turns around, ejects the disc, and held it in front of our faces and shattered it in front of our faces like that. And then opened up the front doors, took the Xbox and threw it. We lived on a big hill. And so we were overlooking the valley. It was like a big view. Threw it off of the mountain and just went right back to sleep. And like me and my buddy were literally just like this.
Welcome back to I Went Camping With. Today we have a very, very special guest. He is an actor. He is a writer. He is a director. He is a producer. He is a father. He is a husband. He is a pretty good hockey player, an average golfer, but most importantly, he is a wizard of Waverly Place. Please welcome to the campfire my dear friend, Mr. David Clayton Henrie.
You can't forget the Clayton.
That's right.
Can't forget the Clayton.
That is a strong name. In fact, when we were doing some, research and FBI background investigation on you for this show,
credit check.
Credit check. It was which great credit, by the way. I may need.
Thank you.
I need you to co-sign on this.
Co-sign on the bus.
On the bus, yeah. We'll see how long this lasts. This is the last episode too. David repossessed my bus afterwards.
That's right.
Now I do have to for disclaimer, COVID compliance, obviously. Though David and I are separated not only emotionally, we also are separated by this plexiglass barrier. So I've always felt there's a barrier between us. Now there's an actual...
Yeah, now it's now tangible.
Yeah.
So
we are sitting about 6 feet apart, and we have, which you can't see, a NASA-grade air purifier, which is constantly cleaning this air. And, I mean, we were in Los Angeles, so, I mean, I think any air is probably better than...
Yeah, that's for sure. Being outdoors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think staying inside's good for air quality and NASA grade purifiers.
That's right. Ironically, we have probably the safest campsite, I think, in California right now.
Probably.
It's tough out there, man. It's brutal. Anyways, I want to jump right into it. Where are we camping today?
So today, we are in the illustrious hills of Thousand Oaks, near my home here. I would like to be in like Yellowstone, but we're actually...
Okay, so we'll say we're in Yellowstone.
Okay.
Why is Yellowstone cool? Or like do you have a history with Yellowstone?
So I haven't been to Yellowstone, but...
Okay, so hypothetical camping trip.
Here's the thing, Ryan. I really want to go to Yellowstone, and my brother and father went on a family men's trip without me to Yellowstone, and all the pictures looked phenomenal.
Why'd they go without you?
I don't know. Some things...
Were you bad, or...
I think I had I think it was because I wanted to hang out with the girlfriend at the time, and now looking back on it, I should have went because that didn't work out very well. So
yeah, so there wasn't Maria, and you didn't get to go to Yellowstone.
I didn't get to go. Yeah, just nothing.
Okay, well, just tell me. So obviously we're here because we both love camping. Do you have a history with camping and nature? Is there any family traditions around that? What is David Henrie's relationship with nature?
Yeah, so growing up in Arizona, we'd go out in the desert a lot. So it was different camping than maybe people in California are used to. But the desert is itself beautiful, stunning place to go to.
Filled with scorpions.
And rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure.
And 120 degrees, right?
And 100. Yeah, you don't want to camp in the middle of the summer. That's for sure. But no, we drive out to the desert. We grew up with ATVs and dirt bikes and stuff. So
cool.
I grew up doing a lot of outdoor sports and activities and hiking in Arizona. There are some beautiful mountains out there. So definitely grew up always outdoors. But I haven't been camping per se much. And by not much, I mean I've literally never been. I've been glamping.
So when I said we love camping, that basically was me lying to the American people.
Well, no, no, I love the, Ryan, I love the idea of camping.
That's right. Just like you love the idea of going to Yellowstone.
Love the idea of going to Yellowstone. I've definitely been like glamping, but I haven't yet like pitched a tent and slept like in the middle of the wilderness.
Got it. Okay, well, we'll try again then. So, obviously you are known as being a big family guy. Love family, I'm actually blessed to know a lot of your family, and most of them are really cool. So, But what are some family traditions you had? I'm curious how you guys forged such a tight bond. Was it always this way, or did you have any traditions that you guys did together?
Yeah, I think we grew up, a lot of credit to my Italian heritage, because we grew up always knowing that family was most important, that no matter what, friends can come and go, but family is the most important thing on the planet. And every Sunday we'd get together, we would have family meals. The kitchen was a very important place for all of us to be in all the time. And the kitchen table especially. So dinners were always very important. We just always had each other's backs, very communicative, sometimes to a fault. My mom's one of 7, so big Italian family, lots of cousins. And growing up, my cousins were my best friend. My family was my best friend. And it just was always something that was always discussed and understood, that at the end of the day, family, your bond, family will never leave you. Blood is so thick, thicker than water. And so we always grew up with a family having a predominant aspect of all of our life.
Yeah, all right. Now, you talked about Italian cooking. How good at cooking is Henrie family cooking?
Well, the funny part is my dad's Henry, right? So he's the non-Italian side. So anytime I meet someone and I'm like, hey, I'm David Henry, what's your heritage? Oh, I'm totally Italian. They're like, something doesn't add up here. But my mother's side of the family is Pergolizzi and Finocchiaro. So that's as authentic as it gets, Sicilian.
Oh.
They make incredible arancinis, incredible, all the typical foods you'd expect, bolognese, all different types of pastas and lasagnas and pizzas and whatnot. And you can't, the love they put into it, you just can't duplicate at a restaurant or anything like that. And I became an actor because of that family. So every Sunday at Nana's, lots of cousins and stuff. And I was one of the older ones. So I would always try to entertain my younger cousins, and I would try to entertain a lot of the other family members. And so I would just be making videos. I figured out how to grab a camcorder and hit stop and pause. And if you played it back and changed the angle, it would cut together naturally. And I would do videos playing different family members, show it to everyone. And that's kind of how I got started in the business as a little kid. They thought it was funny and said you should pursue it.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up, because there are rumors, and these may be baseless, shameful, inappropriate rumors, that you would imitate your hardworking, determined father who was doing all he could to make a living to provide for his family, and he would come home, and this is off the record from an anonymous source, right?
Yes.
So is that they said that there were imitations of him going around on camera. Could you comment on that?
Oh yeah, I can set the record clear on that one. I parodied my father.
Nice.
Absolutely. He, my dad's an awesome guy, because he is he's by the book. He's straight up, tells you how it is.
Oh yeah.
He's strong. He's a was a former weightlifter, so he's like a very A-type, like silverback gorilla kind of a guy. And growing up, he was always like that with us, and I thank him for it. I had a very good upbringing, and I'd say he did a very good job. But there was a lot of good stuff to make fun of. So I, as a 9-year-old, I would stuff my shirt with muscle balls. Like I pack my chest with these big tissue wads and make myself look like this big buff guy.
You're not wearing those now.
No, I'm not.
I know you're getting ready for a role, but I just was making sure.
No,
because this is all natural, what we're looking at.
That's right. It's all natural.
Okay.
So I would shoot a little thing parodying him, and I would bring my cousins in. I would cast them and bring them in these little videos, and I would make fun of his parenting style.
Wait, what?
I would, because he was stern, and at times was, definitely had an emphasis on discipline, and so I would go over the top and make fun of him. And so if I caught, I would set up a scene where I'd catch my cousin doing something silly, like throwing the toilet paper all over the house. And then I'd be my dad, and Bad to the Bone would be playing. And I'd walk down the hallway, see the toilet paper, see my cousin, like lift him with one hand, put him in a trash can, and roll him down a hill. So obviously parodying my father, but it went over very well with the family. And then they would see these videos, and they said, hey, you should take these and show them to people, and we would see things on TV for Hollywood managers. And so we started calling them. And next thing you know, I got an interview by a manager to come to Hollywood. And like my first trip there, I started booking things, and I was like the McDonald's boy, the Toaster Stroodle boy, which there's a Toaster Stroodle commercial online that you can see. That was one of my first commercials when I was like 9.
Do you brush your teeth and then brush your hair? Introducing the Toaster Stroodle 2-in-1 hair brushing toothbrush. Now you can brush your hair and teeth at the same time and get to your Toaster Stroodle faster than ever.
Let me get straight. Your mockery of your father is what led to your ultimate success as an actor, writer, director, producer.
Thank you, Dad.
That's right. So
thank you, Papa.
I know, and I've met Jim. He has a heck of a short game too. So he needs to be.
He's a great putter.
Yeah, he's short game. I remember you and I were chipping around one day, and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" And then he grabbed a club, and he's like, "Oh, you mean this?" And then just hit the target like twice. And I went, "That's a little glimpse into your." Now, when you say discipline, I'm always curious. Was he just like, I mean, obviously, guys got to be disciplined, right?
Yes.
So was he stern and just like? Did you have any weird punishments? I know for mine was I had to take laps. Like just walk, because I was a really overweight kid, so I think it was guys just discipline.
Walk it off, fatty.
Thankfully, although one time my dad took me to sorry dad, but took me to soccer practice, and this wasn't really a punishment. We're like, hey, you need to like stop playing video games.
Yeah.
And so because I was just overweight, and I went to my dad was coaching my little brother's soccer team. And he introduced me as the assistant coach, so I had some authority, right? And he said, my son will be helping out here because he needs to lose some weight. And then he grabbed my stomach and said, right here. And he's like, but he's here to help us out. You must
have been mortified.
Yeah, I'm still talking with a professional about that today, right?
It's traumatized.
I know, right? Am I lean enough now? Am I okay? So.
When I was playing video games once, my dad came up and he told us at like 6 p.m. because it was summer and I'd already been playing from like noon, and so like I think I missed dinner and played straight through it, Halo live, and didn't listen to him. And I had a buddy with me, didn't listen. He came back at like midnight and was like, "I'm trying to go to sleep. You're still playing games. Last warning, stop playing." Didn't listen to him. Sure enough, like 3 a.m. rolls around and me and my buddy like cheered. We just owned some noobs and cheered. He comes in at 3 a.m., stands in front of the TV and us while we're playing. We're like, what the heck? Turns around, ejects the disc, and held it in front of our faces and shattered it in front of our faces like that. And then opened up the front doors, took the Xbox and threw it. We lived on a big hill, and so we were overlooking the valley. It was like a big view. Threw it off of the mountain and just went right back to sleep. And like me and my buddy were literally just like this.
Now, what you
did he just do what I thought he did?
What you didn't hear is that some kid went home the day and went, dude, I was hiking and I found an Xbox. Right?
Some kid said to his buddy, dude, I was hiking and my friend got murdered with an Xbox, hit him out of the way and died.
I feel like we owe Jim a some sort of like coffee or something to say thank you for the fodder here. This is
yeah,
that's good.
But he taught me a lesson. I listened to him from then on, so I respect.
Did you get a new Xbox?
I actually already had another Xbox, so I just reloaded. But I didn't play that night, that's for sure, because it was a quiet house after that.
Oh my gosh. Now, before we move on to another section, I do want to ask, because this is very interesting. You don't find, I mean, obviously there is a hockey team out there, but typically when you hear about the deserts of Arizona, one does not immediately think of great hockey.
No.
And you are a great hockey player. So how did that happen?
Wayne Gretzky, I don't know if it was Wayne Gretzky, but the Winnipeg Jets moved to Arizona and became the Phoenix Coyotes, which was a big deal. And so my dad started taking me to games, and I just asked him I fell in love with the sport, asked him to play, admired guys like Keith Tkachuk and Jeremy Roenick, and they were all playing for the Coyotes, and I just was like, hey, I really want to play, and became a very competitive hockey player. And
you still play?
Fun. I do casually. There's an entertainment league that I play in every so often, and get to play with like Cuba Gooding Jr. and Jerry Brockheimer and all these cool guys who
do you check them?
Make me very confident in my skills of hockey.
Wow. All right. So what do you do? I mean, Jerry Brockheimer. I mean,
it's non-checking, and if Jerry gets the puck, you just back off.
Cuba Gooding Jr. I feel like he could check you.
He's actually a quick skater. He's actually very fast, surprisingly fast. Yeah, his hands aren't there, but
I love hearing about like celeb stuff. You're like, oh, that guy, like Kenny G is an incredible golfer.
Really?
So is Justin Timberlake. Yeah.
Like I've heard Justin Timberlake's amazing.
Oh no, Kenny G, I think last I heard is a scratch golfer. So hopefully he's going to come on the show if I can get him to correct the record.
Talk about golf.
But I was like, you can't be that good at saxophone and a scratch golfer. I mean, it's like
Kenny G can.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man,
Kenny G can.
If I could get him to compose something and just like serenade. I used to make fun of my dad for listening to Kenny G.
You should interview him.
And now I love him.
And have him only respond with sax notes.
A lot can be said through that.
Yeah, just.
Oh man. Well, since we are camping and this is your first camping trip now that I understand this, it is time for something very special because no camping trip is complete without s'more stories. Look, the last thing you need is for another ad to tell you how awesome a product is. Superfood organic brew coffee. You don't need to hear how smooth it is. So smooth. Or how it features functional ingredients like lion's mane. And I would never presume that my words could sway you into purchasing this most delicious brew. But seriously, buy this coffee. It's amazing, and it just might change your life. I'm curious. Now, you've had a s'more before despite not camping, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Big s'more guy.
Big s'more guy, okay. But also, you're a director, and I know that you're a visionary, right? You see things that others don't see. You're creative.
Yep.
If you were to design your own perfect s'more,
yes,
and it could magically appear today, which it won't, but if it could, what would you make? What is David Henrie's proprietary s'more?
It's a very good question, and I have something a little different, a little out of the box.
Okay.
So, because s'mores have such a rich, sweet nature to them, I would want to juxtapose it with a tart.
Interesting.
So what I would do is I would make my own graham cracker, but in like a bowl form. You know, like those fruit parfaits, how you have like the crust around the outside and it's kind of a bed for the things that go in it. I would do that. I would start with that, right? So the graham cracker would be a little bit of a bowl. Then I would put a bed of marshmallows, melt them down, put them in there, a bed of marshmallows, and then I would put the chocolate on top, and then that's what I would, I'd toast all that. So I'd put that over the fire, get that nice and hot, let the chocolate melt.
Like in tin foil, you'd put them together?
What?
Like how would you toast it? Like you?
So I would take the graham cracker bottom, which is oh crud, you're right. It would go on fire.
No, stay with me.
I'm losing confidence.
No, we got this.
Okay, here's what I would do.
We would put in tin foil.
Yeah, tin foil. Boom. Tinfoil. We do tinfoil. That now I see where you're at. You're several moves ahead of me. So yeah, I would put the tinfoil, get that nice and hot, let the chocolate melt down, and then while it's cooking, I would slice some nice strawberries, blueberries, get them all nice and diced up, looking good, and then I might even add cucumber as well.
Lost me.
So strawberries, blueberries, cucumber, right? And I would do so that'd be my third layer. So I'd pull it off and I'd do strawberries, cucumber, blueberries, sprinkle those all over, and then I would take a custard that you'd put in like a fruit parfait, and I would put that over the top, and then finally I would seal it with one more graham cracker, and that would be my perfect s'more. Never tried it, no idea what it's gonna taste like, but I want to put a little a fruit element in there, a little tang.
If there's any news that ever gets out of us, it'll be David Henrie. I would put a cucumber on my s'more, and I think that pretty much.
Wait. Did I say cucumber? I meant.
You did say cucumber.
Wait. What? You're gonna laugh so hard that I don't know the name of this thing, and it's the color of a cucumber.
It's green.
It's green.
Good.
And it's
Is it a vegetable or is it a fruit?
Oh shoot! I can't remember the name of this freaking thing. It's not. It's in the melon family.
Is it cantaloupe? Honeydew?
No.
Kiwi. Okay, so kiwi s'more. Okay.
Is that in the melon family?
No. I mean, we'll look it up later.
Okay, so kiwi, strawberry, blueberry.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
Oh my gosh.
Kiwi, strawberry, blueberry.
You had me a cucumber, man. I was like, man.
No cucumber. Cucumber belongs in water, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. That was the most interesting s'more I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Although cucumber would have been pretty bold. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be weird. Yeah, s'more. That'd be weird.
So obviously we've seen a taste of your creativity. Obviously, you're really well known as an actor, and you got to start early on. How did you actually break into acting, and where did it all start taking off for you?
Yeah. So kind of picking up on the story I was telling earlier with my family and everything and doing the videos, that's when I kind of knew that there was some hope, you know? Like I speak to a lot of younger kids who are like, oh, I want to be an actor. How do I get into the business? And I always say the first thing you should try to look for is well, start with reality. Like, that's a good place to start from. Are you talented? Do you have the ability to entertain? And the best way of knowing that is usually looking at your external circumstances. So I would do these videos. My family found them very funny. We'd show them to other people. They found them funny. It begot a genuine reaction. That's a pretty good temperature gauge that you're doing the right thing when you get a positive reaction. And then I called a manager in Hollywood. I met with that person, and they sent me on auditions, and I started booking a lot of those things. So again, that's like reality. You know?
Now, how old are you? How old were you?
I was 9.
So you were cold calling managers at age 9?
Well, my mom was. I told my mom.
All right, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, no. I pulled up the old payphone and put a couple quarters in.
Now, Lorenzo said there was actually a time too when there were ads in the paper calling for talent.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's right. Did you guys respond to that as well?
Certain, not in Arizona, yes, but the California one was the big move. That's when things kind of took off.
Okay.
And we got in touch with this manager. She said, fly out. We flew out. And then she said, before you go home, audition for Burger King. There's a Burger King audition.
Nice.
A national commercial. And sure enough, I got it, you know? And that's why I tell a lot of kids that ask me if they want to be actors and actresses. I go, you know, when you start auditioning, it's a good gauge on whether on how you're doing. You know, a lot of people, they might not necessarily book, but they'll get called back. And that's a great sign that you're doing something right, you know? Like, growing up and when I was younger, out of, 20 auditions, 15 of them I'd get a call back on, you know? And then maybe one of them I'd book or whatever. But I caution a lot of young people who get in the business for the wrong reasons. They get into it because they want to be celebrities, or they get into it because they want to make money, which there's a lot of industries you can make way more money at than acting. Or they get into it for the glory, the vainglory, the fame, what have you, and they waste so many years pursuing something that ultimately doesn't make them happy, and that they didn't have the talent for in the first place. I think we all have talents that, if we can figure out how to manifest that in the world, will make us a better citizen and help our communities and everything. And so I always caution young people with that. I say, hey, I love that you want to be an actor. That's amazing, but make sure you start from the premise of, I need to put myself in reality and see if that's something that I'm meant to do. Do I have the skills and talents and a built work ethic to do something like that? And if that's the case, then yeah, pursue it with every ounce of energy and fiber in your body, you know. But
wow,
it's a good place to start from reality. But to finish your question, I went from Arizona to California. I booked Burger King, and then I got several other national commercials right after that. And, by the time I was 10 years old, I had done tons of national commercials and started doing TV shows, like Judging Amy and Providence and NCIS. And
this is not normal, by the way, right? I mean, I have friends who've been acting here for a decade, have not booked a Burger King, McDonald's, Quaker Oats commercial. You seem to book one relatively quickly as a young person. And I'm also noticing this is where our careers diverged, because the first commercial I booked was a radio commercial for a local copy machine company, and that's where I ended up in a bus. And you we're in a palace in Encino, so you can trace it back to that. But that's really out of the ordinary, right? I mean, you have to have the talent, you have to work hard, but you booked relatively quick, right?
Yeah, no, it was unheard of. My agent and manager at the time were like, this never happens. I think I booked my first 4 in a row, like 4 auditions in a row.
Dude,
like, it was crazy. And suddenly,
and you're used to that allowance money. So then when you're like, oh my gosh, right? Like, I remember I got $100 for my first voiceover for 30 minutes. And I thought, I am made. I'm set for life.
100%. What's beautiful though about having, I think, parents, I was very lucky to be a child actor with parents who didn't need me in a financial sense. Like, they were supporting me like you'd support a kid in a sport. And any parents out there watching whose kids are considering acting, That needs to be the dynamic. I can't tell you how many kids and people I've grown up with and people I know who started taking their kids' money or managing their kids' careers. And I don't know one single person, and I've, like I said, grew up with probably every successful 30-year-old actor out there right now. I either know or am friends with or grew up auditioning against. Like, we all know each other. We all came up together. I don't know one of them who has a healthy family dynamic now.
Wow.
Because of that. So I would just caution parents to make sure the proper family dynamic is in place. Don't take your kids' money, and if your kids aren't your income, so I would just caution that. There's a lot of great people who I came up with who figured it out and are now mending things with their parents and all that, but it's a tough situation to be in. So yeah, I was lucky to have my parents kind of support me like you would a kid in a sport. So they put my money away, and then when I was 18, I was like, sweet.
Yeah. So you booked these national commercials, right? You were in a Burger King commercial, and then you it seems like your breakout role was show was The Pits, right?
Yeah.
Now that is not an Angelina and Brad documentary, but it was it a comedy, or
it was the creators of the executive producers of The Simpsons,
okay.
Mike Scully and Julie Thacker Scully, husband and wife, amazing writing team. They done hundreds of episodes of The Simpsons, so many shows. They're kind of like Fox's go-to animated comedy people. I think they like practically live on the lot. They've been there for decades. And so this was their live action play, and they were going for a live action animated feel. So it was a show about the most unlucky family in the world, and every single week something terrible would happen to the family, just ridiculously awful. And I was the son of the family. I got possessed into one of those shows.
What?
Oh yeah, if you look at the Pits trailer on YouTube, it starts with like me with 666 on my forehead going, "Wah! I'm possessed." Yeah,
we've come a ways.
It was pretty funny actually, but
wow.
That was a big one for me, because when you come to Hollywood, your dream as an actor is to become a series regular on a TV show. That's like that and being a lead in a movie are like your two goals. Like when you become a series regular on a show, everyone looks at you completely differently. Casting directors look at you differently. Agents look at you differently. Everyone looks at you differently. You suddenly get this thing called a quote, which gives you a market rate now in future TV shows. They go, oh, okay, he's been paid this in the past when he was a series regular, therefore I can't go below this, and every new show you get, it ups your quote. So it's just a huge deal to get a series regular. And I was 13 years old and got it. It was a huge step in my career, because suddenly I attained that level as a kid. And I got it, I think, because I was very lucky again, and fortunate, I think is a better word, that I was always a normal kid. Like a lot of these kid actors I was competing against were so trained and, for lack of better words, somewhat abnormal in social settings and also in performance. I just brought a naturalness to it, because my life wasn't about acting. Like I had fun with it, but to me it was like a sport. Like it was just something that is here one day and could be gone the next, and I didn't care. So I think I had that freedom in the room when I was auditioning and acting. I had that freedom to where, my dad was like, at any moment we're out. Like you got our family, we got ourselves. That's all we need, So anytime you feel anything pressured, this and that, any of that stuff, we are out of here. And, they sacrificed a lot for me by going back and forth from Arizona to California. They sacrificed a lot. But yeah, I from there, I got another show after that on Fox called Method and Red, with the rappers Method Man and Redman from the Wu-Tang Clan. And I was like the young white neighbor next door who broke into their parties on the show, which was so funny. And those guys are the coolest guys. They gave me like watches with diamonds on it. And I was like,
how old were you at this point?
Suddenly thought it was cool. 14. And they
14-year-old with diamond watches?
Oh, it was hilarious. They gave me like a $10,000 diamond watch that I think I still have. But
you don't know where it is?
I might have donated it. I might have given it to a good cause, now that I'm thinking.
Where does one donate a diamond watch?
I think I might have given it to like church or something. I said,
wow.
Guys, take this. Just recently, I had it for like almost 15 years. I think I
wow.
gave it to a church and just said, you guys sell this. Those are real diamonds. You can do whatever you want with that. But yeah, so that was Method and Red. That was a crazy experience, because I got to hang out with these two huge rappers, like, some of the most respected rappers. And then after that, I got That's So Raven, and then Wizards of Waverly Place. But Method Man and Redman were really great guys. I saw them not too long ago, a couple of years ago. I'm literally walking down the streets of New York, and this big concert gets out.
Is this how you walk?
That's how I walk.
Is
yeah.
that how you walk?
I walk like a robot. I'm actually the bicentennial man.
I guess this is how you prepare to be I am the kid next door.
That's right. I'm the neighbor. I was walking down the streets of New York, and this big concert gets out. All these people, and literally they start crowding this one dude, and I see it's Method Man, and it was years after we did the show. I was just like, "Hey, Meth," and he looked over and he was like, "My guy," and he like took me under his shoulder. He's like, "We got another concert." Next thing you know, me, my mom, my dad are all literally watching a Method Man Redman concert, like backstage with all his boys.
Wow.
And it was awesome. It was so funny. I never wanted to be near my parents at all. I felt so uncool that like it's like me, my mom, my dad, and like a Wu-Tang concert. But it wasn't. It was Method Man and Redman. But yeah, that was hilarious.
That's it. So you started to get some fame and notoriety. One thing I'm curious about. It's funny. There's a professor that I had at USC, and he did his research on how influence and power like changes people, and his focus is more like on leadership. But I'm always curious. I actually don't have to wrestle with this right now, so anonymity has not changed me at all. But how did fame affect you, and what was it like knowing that when you said something, when you posted something? Now, granted, I know a lot of this was pre-social media,
yeah.
But as things picked up, like, what was it like having that? When you say something, thousands of people are going to have a comment, say something, recognize you. What's that do to you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I've learned a lot and made mistakes in regards to this question. I grew up with one mentality, and I think very much now I have a completely different mentality. I grew up, I mean, when Twitter first came out, I was very early on that also. I mean, I made Selena Gomez's Twitter, like literally got on her phone, and I was like, you got to make this, and I made it for her. So that was
Wow.
like right when it was coming out. So that's how old I am.
I'm older than you, so I would please reserve comments like that for later.
Wow, dude, you are old, bro.
I know. You are younger than me and vastly more successful.
No.
And we're going to process that later.
Just kidding, bro. Just kidding. So yeah, I grew up thinking like I can say whatever I want because I don't care. And I don't care if I have any repercussions with things that I say. That's your fault, not mine. And then I got a little older, got a little wiser, and it's kind of like Spider-Man, right? With great power comes great responsibility. And the older I got, the more I started placing an emphasis on family, met my wife, started dating, got married, kids. I was like, you know what? I was young and I don't believe in that philosophy anymore. I think we should all take responsibilities for our actions, especially when we're given a following. And so now my philosophy is very different on that. I try to be very careful with everything that I post. I'm not a political or polarizing figure because I have my personal life, and anything I do on social media, I just want to make people happy. I'm not qualified to speak about things that I don't have the proper knowledge or education on, so I tend not to do anything like that. I'm all about my family. I'm all about making people happy, and I'm all about trying to create positivity in the world. So that's kind of what I stick to now. But yeah, I was definitely tempted by the whole fame and all that. I think anyone would be, and definitely made a lot of mistakes in that regard. Things I said and things I did that I'm not proud of.
Well, people treat you differently, right? Like do you ever wrestle with that? Like people wonder, like, hey, like, are you my friend because you like me, or because like I'm, David Clayton Henry?
Well, it made dating very hard.
Oh yeah. All right. I do want to come back to that because I do want to talk to you about relationship, but we'll get to that because I'm curious what that's like. But people treat you differently. Did you have any weird fans? Like, I mean, because I know I actually saw a video of you reading tweets from people, and some of the tweets that people like tweet, I was like, he's a married man.
Oh yeah, that was my BuzzFeed thirsty.
The BuzzFeed
tweets,
thirst tweets, and I was like, I need David Henry in my life, or my biggest problem is that he doesn't know I exist. And you handle it really well. You're like, now I know.
Yeah.
I was like, I hope you're watching.
There's a lot of weird stuff like that, man. There's a lot of people who would probably qualify for a restraining order, for sure.
I told you I was sorry.
That's why this glass is here.
That's right.
Yeah, no, there's all sorts of weird people out there who I think have crossed the line between fan and violating personal space and whatnot, and threats and all that stuff. Yeah, there's all sorts of weird people out there. That's always weird.
I know. I mean, it was even interesting, like because you recently sold your home, and I remember I heard about it in the news from someone, and I was like, how does this even happen?
I don't know how that got online. Literally, I put my house for sale. The next day, it's on the Variety, and now everyone knows where I live. And I was like, I told my real estate agent, I was like, you need to sell this thing quick, dude, because everyone knows where I live now. And if one fan that there's been some weird ones out there, if see that, then and I don't have security or anything.
Well, that's not true. You have an awesome dog. Darth Vader, full name?
That is true. Yeah. He's a all black German Shepherd, and when he was a puppy, I was like, oh man, I got to give him a great name. Well, who are the two like most prominent figures that could come together to make one awesome name for this dog? And I was like, well, he is a black German Shepherd, so let's start with Vader.
That's right.
And then he also is someone who could do absolutely insane things with his limbs. And I was like, Jean-Claude Van Damme. So we have Vader Van Damme. That's his full name.
Vader Van Damme. That's right. So, and I hope that's a name you'll consider for future children too. Yeah, just to be good there. So we go on from acting. You obviously have massive success with Wizards of Waverly Place, and now you've taken up the role. Obviously, you do business with your family, and you've got a variety of business interests. But you're doing directing now, and you just directed a movie. This is the year.
Yes.
And you did an online premiere with it, which is so cool. And tell us a little bit about how or why that online premiere is such a cool and new thing relative to what you typically do when you do a movie.
Absolutely. Great question. So when you typically make a movie, you independently, like when you make it on your own and you finance it with yourself or others or friends, partners and whatnot, you make it, you finish it, you edit it, you take it and you try to sell it to the movie theaters, to any sort of distributors. You try to sell that thing. So we had a finished film, and we did that route. We had a theatrical release lined up for the film, which we were very excited about. And COVID hit, and suddenly we're not looking good. And we were very blessed to have a very entrepreneurial group of investors who said, we don't want this thing to sit on the shelf, because when the theatrical window went away, suddenly our movie is just sitting here doing nothing, and we're like, well, we need to do something with this. We need to innovate. We need to pivot. We need to exploit our asset, which is a good movie. It's supposed to make people smile. People need this movie now more than ever. And so we spoke to Selena Gomez, our executive producer. We spoke with our business partners, and we came up with this plan that was basically to do a COVID benefit, a free COVID benefit, to make it live for the world to watch with us. And we make it a show. So create the premiere atmosphere. If there's one thing fans never get to experience, it's a premiere with the actors, with the producers, with everyone, because that's a very closed-doored thing. So we said, let's create that. Let's create a premiere atmosphere where fans can log in, watch the movie live with us. We do a pre-show, show the movie, and then in the post-show, we have a live Q&A. So all the fans are there watching us on Zoom. We answer some of their questions. We have great discussions. And we did it, and it was a massive success. It went to so many people, made thousands and thousands and thousands of people smile and happy. People loved the movie, got great reviews, 8 stars on IMDb, which is fantastic and hard to do. And now we have all this tremendous data gathered on the film that we're going to use to help sell it and get it to a buyer. So
this is significant because normally you and I say we direct a movie about some entrepreneurs who get a bus that has a camping site in the back of it and goes around the country,
right,
having conversations.
Box office gold.
Gold, right? Very gold there. And we would normally, once it's done, we would rent out, Mann's Chinese Theater. We'd spend $100,000, right? And we'd invite all our friends and just hope the news and the press is good. You guys did online. It's found money. So anything you do is like you get to donate, get data, and collect, and you haven't sold the movie to anyone.
No.
So you could do it again and again if you wanted to.
100%. We now own that platform. It's our model. And the cool thing is we have the data. So no independent film goes to sell and is able to say, hey, here's our movie, and here are the buyers. Here are the people who bought the film. Here are their demographics. Here's what they look like. Here's who wants to see the film. Here are the millions of people who visited the site who didn't buy, but we have all their data. We know who they are. We know their emails. We know everything. We know their age group. We know where they're from. So we can say the movie skews female, the movie skews this age group, and we have all their data. So you can literally put marketing dollars towards people we know are interested. It's kind of like when you click on an ad and you get that ad for the next month, you know, because you clicked, they have your data, they know who you are. So it's an incredibly valuable companion piece that we can use to sell with the film, and that people are very excited about our partners to
So it
sell
makes it more valuable. Can you also defend a valuation of your movie too? If someone, like when you're in negotiations to acquire the film, you can say, look, we know we can do with just this one instance.
100%.
And we could do that again. Or, like, you know, we know what the multiplier could be on this.
Exactly right.
Wow.
Those are tremendous data points that independent films just don't have.
Do you see the industry, so with COVID and everything, do you think, is that the route that these indie films, because I keep thinking about your model, and it seems so smart because, you know, typically indie movies are going to be a fraction of the budget of these tentpole movies we see. And if you have $1 million, $2 million movie and you want to do an online premiere and with no overhead, no COVID exposure, get some sponsorship, partner with some charities, it seems like everybody wins, and you could potentially make back your budget if you do a great job.
Oh, 100%. It's we've gotten a lot of very positive attention from this, and other folks are coming to us wanting to use the platform that we built to release the film. So it kind of turned into a very cool thing.
So the writer-director side of you, did you just kind of pick that up? And I forgot to mention, because I did find that you were actually one of the youngest writers in, I think it's TV history, Disney history, something like that. You were 17 and you got to author episodes of Wizards of Waverly Place. Like, how does that happen?
I always, because you heard my story of how I got in the business as a kid, like I just always had this itch to make things, like be behind the camera and make things just to make people laugh or entertain them. So I always had more than just an actor. I had that side of me that was always itching at me. And so I was always writing. I was always making music videos and fun things and shooting things. So I was always very creative. And then when I got Wizards, from day one, I said, by the way, guys, I'm going to be a writer on the show one day. You just wait. I'm going to be a writer. And I bugged them enough to where they said, well, if you're going to be a writer, you need to go the traditional route, which is you have to write 2 spec scripts of other sitcoms out there. You have to submit it. We have to make sure you can write. And once we approve that, we'll let you in the room to where you can pitch jokes. And then once you're in the room, then if the jokes you pitch are funny, we'll give you an episode. And so I went through that process, and I finally got invited into the writing room. And that was very nerve-wracking for me, because you have this table of like 10 writers, and then around them you have the assistants, and then you have interns writing what everyone's saying. And basically it's like you pick your moment. We're sitting discussing an episode. So the head writer, this guy named Peter Murrieta, who's a phenomenal, amazing writer, he would start the meeting and he'd say, hey guys, I think this episode would be great. And he'd say, ABC, what do you guys think? Is that an episode? You know, this could be funny, that could be funny. What do you guys think? And then the whole room starts discussing it. They go, oh, yeah, it could be this. Another writer speaks up, oh, yeah, it could be that. And then after 10, 20 minutes, it starts to take shape. And you start to see, okay, this could be an episode of a show. And then they'll hand that to someone else. And usually whoever's pitching or riffing off of that idea, it'll be clear who should write it, you know? And people will pitch jokes, and the jokes will get written down. And if it gets a laugh, usually that means the assistants will write it down and say, that's a good joke, we want to keep that, right?
And some fall completely flat.
Those don't get written down, and they don't get...
Is it like silence? So you pitch a joke and it just like crickets?
100%. So yeah, it's really nerve-wracking situation to be in. And so before I got into the room, they told me, like, look, pick your moments, you know? 'Cause you're a new
you're
writer
17.
in here. You're a kid. You're a new writer in here. You know, we don't know if this is a favor, if you're actually talented. So whenever you speak up, make sure it's funny. And so the first day, I didn't say anything. I literally said nothing. I just sat there and laughed and listened and got to... Second day, and I had all sorts of temptations. Like, I think I have a joke, but no, it's not. I think I have it. I had all these temptations, but I was like, pick your moment, man. Pick your moment. And I wish I could remember the joke. I don't, but we're riffing on an episode, and it's something to do with Max, who's the little kid in the episode, or the little brother of my character. And he was coming down the staircase. There was some joke, and the punchline was he turned around and went back up the staircase and said some dialogue. And I knew it was, I was like, this is it. This is my moment. I know it's funny. And so I like cleared my throat and leaned forward, and then everyone looked at me because they knew I was going to pitch. And I go, well, you know, I think, what if Max just does this? And he hits the staircase, boom, delivers it, and turns back around and goes up the stairs. And then there was a beat, and no one laughed. And like that beat to me seemed like an hour. And like, I swear I like sweat was like beating down my face. I was like all in that one moment. I was like, and then sure enough, one person laughed, another person laughed, and the whole room laughed. And then the head writer goes, "Put it in."
Wow.
And there's an assistant typing on a big screen the script up right then and there.
Wow.
And so my joke got put in. And so I was like, I sat back and I was like, thank you, God. I was like, yes, it worked. Big moment.
Wow.
And that was a huge pivotal moment for me. It's a really cool experience being in the writer's room because everyone contributes to the episode. Everyone. One person will write it. And then after it's written, it gets put up on that big screen. Then all the writers go through it together. And they go, oh, I like what you did here, but what about this version of the joke? And then everyone's like, yeah, put it in.
Does someone take lead on each episode, or is it all? Correct. Is it like 80% collaborative, and then one person will kind of be tasked with finishing it?
So it'll start with that kernel that I was saying earlier, and then the head writer will go, hey, Ryan, I want you to write up the treatment on that.
Got it.
You'll go off, you'll write up the treatment. It's sent to the whole team. All the writers will read it. We'll meet on your treatment, and then we'll say, I like it, but the act break should be here, and I think the arc should hit here, and then they'll go, great, okay, send it to Disney. Disney will give notes, and then you write that into a scene-by-scene treatment, so it'll essentially be every scene in the show, and you'll write the character arcs through it, staying pretty macro level, and then we'll meet again. Everyone will discuss it. Disney will give notes, and then from there, the writer goes, you're approved, start writing it, and you'll write your first draft, send it to the team, meet, put it up on the big screen, and then everyone goes through together and they make their changes and adjustments right there on the fly. But so from your first script to the end of it, 20% will be the same. Wow. If you're lucky. And that's every script, every writer, every show. That's a very for sitcoms. That's a very standard sitcom kind of thing.
Does tension ever break out and it's like you hear it and you're like, where am I? And someone's like, no, the wizard should do this. No, the wizard should do that. And you're like, I'm listening to an argument about like this. Like, do people get
yeah. Well, sitcoms in general, we're very blessed on our show to have like incredible writers who got along and everyone's very friendly. But sitcoms are known to have very catty writers' room, and I don't mean that in a gender sense. I mean literally like people create coalitions of teams. So like if you have a 12-person writers' room, 3 writers will band together and go, "Don't laugh at his jokes, even if it's funny."
This happens
all the time. That's like an old adage. Like you have teams of writers who are known for certain things, and people will team together because it's their jobs on the line. I mean, if you're not funny, and if someone doesn't laugh at you, suddenly you don't like them because they're not supporting your joke, and
wow.
You get together with one of the other writers and go, "Hey, we're not doing."
So it's a miracle anything gets made.
Yeah, 100%. Because people are fighting for scripts. By the way, you get paid if you get a script to write, and not everyone gets the same amount. Sometimes it's different.
Wow. So you at 17 got to write a script though? Did you got to?
Yeah, I got to write a couple scripts. Luckily.
So how do you, at 17, I could barely finish a term paper, like a report. How do you do this as a 17-year-old kid?
They just said read a bunch of books on the subject.
I guess they pay you better than I got paid for my homework.
yeah. They told me to read a bunch of books. Sid Field's screenplay, Save the Cat.
Save the Cat. I had to read that in college.
Yeah, it's a very, very standard good book that gives you an overview of everything. Story by Robert McKee.
Cool.
There's tons of books. I actually took one of his seminars on screenplay writing. And
do you have a process today for your writing? Because I know you still do writing when you're producing. Is there a process that you have that's unique, or do you have to? Is there a hotel you have to seclude to? You know.
No, I'm pretty standard. You know, I like to. I'm very visual, so I like to use a lot of index cards, and I'll break it up into 4 acts essentially. Well, 3 acts with the second act split up into 2. It's a very standard process as well, and I'll put like 9 cards in each section, and I'll just start to fill it in as I go. When I come up with an idea, I'll just start filling them in, and that'll start to take shape. And if that makes it through, then I'll go to something a bit more in depth after that. But I'm very visual. Like I like to see the cards and pitch, and that's why I like directing, is because I'm more. I think I'm suited more for that than writing.
So bottom line to anyone, you mentioned you work with a lot of younger folks who are considering taking the plunge and pursuing their own Burger King dream, you know, booking a Burger King commercial. Based on where you see the industry going now, specifically in a pandemic environment and lots of self-taping and just the industry being really, in turmoil a little bit, what's your advice? for people considering getting into any form of entertainment, writing, directing, acting?
I would say the best advice possible is like Robert Rodriguez's philosophy, and now more than ever, which is like, just get out and do it. Just get out and do it. Every single person with one of these iPhones, or it doesn't even need to be the new one, like any people with an iPhone, you can make stuff that's amazing. You can make stuff that's absolutely amazing. People are starting their careers on TikToks and becoming actors by just shooting some things that are interesting. Some of them not very interesting and are getting famous. But if you want to be like an artist, it's in your power to do it. Anyone with a phone can do it. Anybody. Kids editing softwares are right on your phone. You can edit things together immediately. The ball is in your court. If you want to do it, just do it. And you'll get noticed. You'll get attention for it. But do it. Nike baby, just do it.
So if you have a parent that you can make fun of, basically,
yes,
create a video and submit it and see if anyone laughs at it, and you too.
But by the way, start with what you know.
That's right.
That's the best philosophy. Like any writer, like meeting one who's mentoring you, will tell you, write what you know. Write what you know. Don't try to, just because you like the Godfather movies but know absolutely nothing about the mafia, you shouldn't go try to write the Godfather. Like, write what you know. Do something you're gonna like, something you're gonna find entertaining, and that's all you got to do. It's literally all you got to do. And you don't have to be, you don't have to be P.T. Anderson or one of these groundbreaking, crazy filmmakers that change the world. Just make what you like, that you find entertaining, and guarantee you're not the most unique person in the world. Other people will find it interesting as well. Make what you like, try to be great at it, and share that with others.
Okay, so no campfire setting is complete without obviously a cucumber s'more and a spooky story.
As a parent, have you often sworn that you want to minimize screen time? Let's be honest, you're gonna cave. Why not let your kids do something useful on the tablet, like Vooks, the online streaming library of kids-safe, ad-free books that are read aloud to your child. Let's talk to two actual bookworms.
Bookworms?
What do you guys think of Vooks? Oh, wow. That's amazing.
I can actually do it way better.
That's probably not necessary. That's amazing. All right, Jeb, do you like Vooks?
Yes.
Jeb.
Yes.
What's the last Vook that you watched?
You're not scared.
I am not scared.
What are you scared of?
Bad guys.
I'm scared of spiders.
If I'm a friend with spiders, I will like it. That spider.
Max, it's your turn to pick a book. Ruckus on the Ranch? What's that about? Causing a ruckus on the ranch. Causing a ruckus on the ranch. Do you actually read the words?
Yeah.
Is that why you're so smart?
No.
No?
Would you?
You're causing a ruckus on the set. You're causing a ruckus on the set.
Head on over to join.vooks.com/redeem. Enter promo code WENTCamping for $25 off your Vooks subscription, which is basically 6 months of free Vooks. That's amazing. Do it now. I mean, you've played a wizard, so you must have some experience with something a little out there or whatever. Is there something you could share with us, a spooky campfire story?
I can definitely share a spooky story. It didn't take place around a campfire, but it was spooky. So I'm about 14 years old, and I'm at Shattuck St. Mary's, which is a preparatory academy with a very advanced hockey team. And so I get sent there for camp, and it's one of those camps, if I recall this correctly, it's one of those camps that you had to be invited to. And so I go there for this camp. It's a big deal, and I'm like living there for a couple weeks, and I'd never done something like that before. I'd never been out of the house from my parents ever. So it was a big deal, like staying there, like that's a very interesting thing. And right when I get there, they go, oh, just so you know, the school is built on an Indian burial ground. And I think it was Indian burial ground. If I get that wrong, I apologize. But it was for sure a burial ground. But for some reason, I think it was an Indian burial ground. But it was built on a cemetery, 100%. And so, I was with some older kids, and they were like, and just so you know, at night, if you look out the windows, you'll see in the fog, you'll see people marching. You'll see people marching, and this dorm you're staying in, I think it was a dog called Blue, burnt down in a fire. And so you'll see and hear him coming down the hallways. And so they start saying all these things. I'm already freaked out. Like, I don't like that kind of stuff. And then they're showing me around where you're going to stay. They're taking me and some of the other kids at the camp. And they go, we need to take you down a specific hallway. And there was this hallway called like hell. And it was one little hallway that was probably, I don't know, 20 feet long. But it was underground and it was arched. And it had all this graffiti all over it of all these like demonic, crazy, weird things. And they go, if you walk through it, you got to walk through it, but it's not good, kind of a thing. And I'm like freaking out. So these kids take me down this hell hallway, and the next thing you know, it's like time to sleep, and I'm sleeping in this bunker, and I look out, and I swear, like in the mist, like I see things like feet or whatnot, and literally like I'm hearing things in the hallway of like, I think I hear barking, and it was such a bad night that I literally called my mom, and I was like, I'm out. Like, I'm not staying in this place. I have to stay with you guys in a hotel. Like, I'm so not being here. It was terrifying. It was terrifying.
Wow. Man, how old were you?
Shoot. 13 or 14.
I feel like this was last week.
12, 13, or 14, something like that. Between 12 and 14.
You hinted at it earlier, so obviously you're married now.
Yes.
I actually am blessed not only to know Jim, your father, who's been mentioned earlier in the program, but Maria, who is honestly perfect, right? I mean, like, she's awesome and heck of a cook, too. I mean, you guys have made some meals for me that are just...
Yeah, she's unreal.
That chicken, I mean, that's unreal. So you mentioned getting a little fame, and you turned 15, 16. Also, we'll have to get a picture of you. You had different hair than you do now.
Oh, yeah.
You had some long, like, rebel hair.
I've had some gnarly, weird dudes in my day.
So were you a guy who didn't get any girls, always had success with girls, and then suddenly you got successful and that changed? Or what's been your long history with the fair sex?
You know, it's very funny. In Arizona, I was like, from Arizona, where I grew up in Arizona to California, I was two different people. So I don't know if maybe a lot of kids can relate to this, but when you grow up going to one school from like kindergarten to 8th grade, you very quickly get put in a box. You're very quickly known as one thing, and that's just how you're known in the school over the years. And in Arizona, I didn't really. I had some friends, but like not. I always gravitated more towards the nerdier kids. Like, I liked the swings. I like swinging, and I had this weird, the swing set, and that's where like kids who are not.
Sorry.
Yeah. Where's your mind? Get your mind out of the gutter.
No.
Seventh grade swinging.
It's a great block.
So I had this side of me that was like a video gamer and like playing on the swings with the kids who weren't as cool, but at the same time I was an athlete, so I would also like to play kickball and sports, and like I loved that, and that was a completely different set of kids, and so I was always torn between these two worlds. I was never the kid that girls liked, or I didn't have much luck when I was younger, or even in middle school and early into high school. I was no female interest whatsoever.
Were there lots of like best female friends though? Were you like, you're such a good friend?
No, not at all.
No,
not
okay,
at all.
Wow.
It was because I was again torn between these worlds of like kind of an athlete, but I was a big hockey player, which wasn't a school sport, so I was always doing athletic things off campus, so no one knew me as an athlete. And it was, I remember there's this one pivotal day in middle school where I kept getting invited to play sports with the kids at recess as opposed to swinging on the friends with my like nerdy gamer friends. And I started playing sports with them, and I was competing with them, and next thing you know, I was hanging out with that group all the time months later. And then it was like the saddest day ever. My friend Derek, who was my friend on the swing set, he came up to me towards the end of the school year, and he goes, "Hey, David, remember how, the beginning of school year, you said you'd be right back at the swing set, and you went and played kickball with everyone?" I was like, yeah. And he goes, "You never came back." And I felt so bad.
What is Derek doing now?
I was like, "Derek, I'm so sorry, Derek." To this day, I feel bad about that. I'm not kidding you. I feel bad. I didn't even know I didn't come back, right? I didn't even know. I feel so bad because my heart is in the swings. It really is.
Derek, if you're watching, please get in touch with us.
Yes. So for a brief moment, I became like the athlete kid at school and was like, got some attention from some girls. But no, when I was put kind of in a box and wasn't that guy at school. And so when I went to California, when I was younger, I'd start going to California more often for acting. I could be who I want because no one knew me. So that totally changed. I suddenly was getting much more attention from girls, and didn't have many issues. I'm trying to.
How do we diplomatically? You did not struggle.
I did not
seeking companionship.
Did not have issues, but I was.
Do you think that's fame though too? Is that like? I mean, is that?
I'm sure that was mixed.
Like when you
100%,
become, is it true though? I mean, you see the stereotype. You're famous, rock stars, actors, whatever. That people everybody wants to be around you. Was that your experience?
That was mixed into it. I would have these parties when I was a teenager with 200 people that would come to it. That was just, I would do that like a couple times a month. Like it was just, that absolutely had to do with it because people knew me as an actor or whatever. And it's so funny. I look back at those things and I'm like, wow, man, there were so many actors that were just starting back then that are now way bigger than me that would come to my parties or that I'd kick out. I won't name names, but yeah, so that definitely played into it. And I learned in hindsight, now that I'm 31, I look back on it and I go, man, I was so looking for the wrong things and the wrong people at the wrong times. And I wasn't my value sets were totally askew back then, totally askew. I was, like, I feel like TV shows and movies tell us nowadays is like, you should first be interested in the flesh, or you should first be interested just in appearance and is she hot, is she this, is she that. And when you do that, I think you very quickly, or sometimes in certain people's cases not very quickly, realize how shallow that is and how that's not sustainable, and ultimately it'll lose its appeal in anyone, in anything. So there has to be something deeper there. And it makes for shallow relationships. For me, it always made for shallow relationships, and it made for relationships where you're not valuing the human person as you should, and you're not being as respectful as you should, because you're not caring about what's inside. You're more caring about the externals or the physical stuff, and that's fleeting. And so I started putting things first and foremost, character assessments first and foremost, looking for someone's character habits, their virtue, like what do they tend towards, and really trying not to let the physical elements of a relationship be primary, knowing that those things, you have to be attracted to someone. I'm not saying you shouldn't be attracted to someone.
We can definitely put up a picture of Maria, just show you didn't have to pick between the two.
Yeah. She was Miss Delaware, yada yada yada. But that you should certainly be attracted to a person, but that wasn't my priority. My priority was what habits do they have? Because that's what I'm going to live with. So many people say, I got married and then, man, they totally changed. Like, I don't know what, it was a completely different person. And that doesn't make sense to me at all. That doesn't make sense to me at all. What that says is you probably didn't get to know the person in the way you should have gotten to know the person before you got married. Yeah. And I'm speaking very generally. Of course, there's exceptions. Of course, there's different ways to go about it. But generally speaking, like, my wife is the exact same person now as when we were dating, because we weren't like, it's the whole fireworks mentality of, you see each other, it's love at first sight, fireworks go off, you kiss on your first date, you do whatever you do on your first date, and you are blinded. You can't see a thing. Your friends might be like, dude, she's an axe murderer, literally, and you're like, no, she's not.
But she's so cute.
I'm obsessed. She's the best. She's so, and vice versa. It works with guys and girls. You are so blind. You can't see a thing. And then so many people 2 years into a relationship are like, wow, they're just not who they were when we first met. And it's because, why? Because the fireworks went away. And the person's habits are who you're stuck with. That's the person. You are your habits. That's who you're stuck with. And that's the person you need to fall in love with. And so I totally changed my mentality on approaching women, and I started looking for habits that I found attractive, and that and vice versa. I encouraged her to look for those in me as well while we were dating. It was a really beautiful process. And so we both were serious young adults who were saying, you know what? Could care less about this swipe left, swipe right hookup culture that we live in. That's not important to us at all. Those things come. What's important is getting to know each other, getting to be friends first, a genuine friendship. And it was the most beautiful thing in the world with me and my wife. Like, she's one of the funniest people I've ever met, and we like all the same things. And it's philosophically we're on the same page. It's just it
works.
Such a blessing. Yeah, such a blessing. I just wish people, I didn't grow up with that. The movies, TV shows, people around me, they all were like, first question, is she hot? Second question, is she hot? And
I like that accent. Is she hot?
Is she hot? We got my. But
also, for the record, She was Miss Delaware, right?
She was hot. Yeah.
So for all this virtue talk, you did end up marrying Miss Delaware, right?
Absolutely. No, she's a beautiful girl. You have to be attracted. I'm not saying don't
Right.
be attractive. You absolutely
You
must
got
be
the best
attracted.
of both worlds.
That's very important. But
How did y'all meet?
She was, as you just said, Miss Delaware. She was emceeing an event for schools. There was a stadium of like 8,000 kids.
Wow.
And I was asked to speak at that and meet the kids and sign autographs and whatnot. And I first heard this girl that was very funny off stage. She was emceeing, and I was like, "Whoa, there's someone witty up there and funny. Like, that's a funny girl." And I knew going into this that there were two models that were hosting, and I was very hopeful that this funny girl happened to be also, attractive.
So it was gonna be win-win.
Yeah, I was like, that's a win-win. And sure enough, it was her, and she is very funny and very attractive. And I was like, I want to get to know her. And so a mutual friend put us in contact. And
So walk me through this, because you're David Henrie, professional wizard, right? Do you tell your friend, hey, like, tell her David Henrie wants to meet her?
She grew up in a family of 7 on a farm and didn't have TV, so she had no idea who I was.
Nice. So it's a level playing field.
It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. No idea that I was an actor or any followers on social media. None of that, and no clue. And we just struck up a friendship. We started FaceTiming. She lived in New York. I was in LA. We just struck up a friendship, and over the course of 6 months to a year, we were like best friends and like knew everything about each other, loved one another. And the long distance thing was very hard to do, very hard. I would fly there once a month. I would fly her out once a month. It was time consuming, costly, and it was tough on both of us because we wanted to be together more often than once a month. She happened to get a job in LA teaching school. She was teaching 8th grade. And so finally we're in the same city together, started hanging out more often. And the way we went about our relationship was very mature. So, it was tough to try to be discerning about a relationship, to be like, we're going to spend the rest of our lives together. We need to make sure both of our priorities match. And we have the same wants and desires, and also don't want to get too, just blinded by what the world says you should do with your relationship here and there at times, and all the just modern stuff. And so it was a difficult dating process. It wasn't easy. It was difficult. Distance, everything. It was all difficult. And so when she moved out, and I was like, I definitely want to marry this girl. I flew to Delaware, met with her father, asked her father's permission to marry her. I brought the ring with me and everything. Asked her father's permission to marry her. He said absolutely. Shook my hand. It was very cool. Felt like it was in a 50s movie or something. It was a really awesome moment. And then it was time to, pop the question to Maria. And my goal with this proposal was for it to be so grand that it overshadowed any difficulty of dating. I didn't want any distance and things we went through when we were dating. I didn't want any of that to be sore memories. I wanted this proposal to be so glorious that it would.
She has to say yes contractually at this point. It's so good.
It's exactly right. It's so big, and it's such a good memory for both of us that we think back on our before we were married, and this comes to the forefront of our mind. So I just wanted it to be amazing. So I wanted it to be a surprise as well. So I also didn't want to lie to her. So I was towing this fine line of like, I always hate when people try to surprise and they just like tell blatant lies.
Yeah.
It's just me. Whatever. It doesn't matter what everyone's stance is on it, but I don't like that, and I didn't want to lie. So I didn't lie, but I definitely manipulated the conversation to benefit me. So I happened to be doing at the time a music video for a pop princess in Catalina Island and from India. And so she flew me out in a helicopter. I was flying out there. Maria knew I was doing this. And I told her, by the way, I have this same helicopter for another weekend. I'm going to invite all of our friends out. And I have the helicopter for another weekend. Let's all go on a trip to Catalina Island. And so I put a big text chain with Maria and like 5 of our friends. And I called all the friends ahead of time. And I said, hey, just so you know, I'm inviting you on a helicopter ride. None of you are going to come. You're all going to cancel slowly. And at the last minute, it'll just be me and Maria on the plane, on the helicopter. And so I got all my friends on this group chain. We're exchanging dates. Hey, guys, can you come here? Oh, no, you can't. Bummer. But I can come. So we're for like a month. I'm going back and forth.
Wow.
Maria's on this chain. And she goes, oh, I can't make it. Day 1. She says, I can't make that date. And that was the day I had the helicopter. And so I said, just keep it up, guys. Everyone keep chiming in. Let's all talk as if Maria's not going. She said, I'm teaching school. So I called the principal at school and I said, hey, if I pay a substitute, can you get a substitute teacher to sub for Maria on this date? And she goes, yeah, if you find one. So I found a substitute, paid her 3 times what she'd normally get to sub for Maria on the day. And Maria, so I said to Maria offline, when she said she canceled a few days later, I was like, Maria, can you call our friend so-and-so, Margaret, and can you call her and see if she'd sub for you? And she was like, oh, yeah, I doubt she'd do it. But yeah, I can call. She called me back an hour later, and she's like, Margaret's substituting for me. I got the day off. I can do it. And I was like, of course. So it comes down to like now a day before the helicopter ride to Catalina. And the morning of, the last friend canceled. And so now Maria's like, oh, should I still come? You know? And I was like, well, I got the helicopter. It's just you and I. But like, yeah, let's do it. It'll just be you and I, but it'll be fun. It'll be a nice day for you and I. And we get in the car. We had a car drive us to the helicopter. Now, unbeknownst to her, I had been speaking to her family and had all of them flown out to a very beautiful church in Los Angeles, right? So the whole thing I had set up is we're going to take this helicopter to Catalina Island, do water sports all day, have lunch on the water. Then we'll take the helicopter to an airport, land, get picked up, and taken to a church where I'm going to propose. She doesn't know any of this is coming. She thinks we're just going to the island, and then we're going to take it to another place to go see this really cool ancient church.
As one does.
Yeah. And then go back. But I'd been setting this up for months, so none of it was news to her. This is just what she thought all the friends were doing, and
it's like a typical Sunday with the Henrie. Choppering to the Catalina wine mixer.
Totally. The Catalina wine mixer. So we go out. The day's amazing. We fly back to the John Wayne Airport, and then we go to this church. And I had my friends like walk into the church and say, before we got there, there's a proposal in progress. Everyone exit. And so everyone left the church. So it was just her and I in this church. I walk her right up to the altar rail. And I had a whole speech prepared, and then I got on a knee, and I said, will you marry me? And she burst into tears because she had no clue this was coming. No clue. She literally almost fell. She jumped back like this and started screaming, and I saw her win Miss Delaware, so it was the same face. She like screamed, like went like this. And she accepted, thankfully. And
if she said no, like what a story.
She said burn the helicopter.
Yeah.
She said thank you, and we had a great rest of the day. We went to this other place where her family was waiting. They all came out, of the door, surprised her. She started crying again. We all had dinner that night, and it's one of the best memories we have. It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience.
Dude, that is. I feel bad for everyone. Like all the guys who heard that, like I will not be able to do a chopper to Catalina. So wow, that is amazing. I love y'all's relationship. It's just so cool, and y'all are good partners. Like you can see the friendship in y'all's relationship, and it's really cool. That's all. And so now you're a father.
Yes.
Right? And so now fast forward from Catalina and choppers to 3 hours, 4 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah, babies can. That's why it's good to marry your best friend. Like you were saying, the dynamic. Like you need each other. It needs to be. Babies test you. It instantly you're tired. You run on sleep. It inflames the emotions. So you need someone who you can depend on. You can work with to like handle that thing. But starting a family, and this is also why it's good to marry your best friend and someone that you truly know, is because it doesn't go according to plan. It doesn't always go according to plan. We had thought. You get married, you have babies, and you start a family, and that's kind of the way it's going to go. That's what we wanted. But we quickly found out that it's not that easy. We really struggled with miscarriages, several miscarriages, which were very, very tough on us. And that was, again, the blessing of really taking our dating process seriously was we were there for each other. We said, no matter what, this isn't going to affect our marriage. No matter what, we're going to lean on each other. We're brought together for a reason. We're going to lean on each other, and this is going to make us stronger. No matter what, the good thing that'll come from this is that we will be stronger because of it. We'll come out of this on top. And we did, thankfully. And a lot of that credit is to her because she's such a strong individual. But, anyone out there starting families, the female body is so complex, especially hormonally. We had figured out that it was eventually there was a progesterone problem, and a lot of the doctors nowadays don't focus on progesterones and hormones, but there I just stress get all those levels tested, check them out, because progesterone is a leading issue in a lot of miscarriages. You know,
Wow.
it's a very important thing. So once we figured that out, we had like 4 miscarriages, but once we figured that out, thankfully, we were able to now seem to have no issues. We got number 2 on the way.
Now, that's right, number 2 on the way. So it was part progesterone, but also you have a cool story because
This is the real reason.
yeah, I mean, hormones aside, you actually had the Holy Father himself pray for you, right?
Yeah, so that's a crazy story, man. So I have a friend named Andrea Iavolino, who's Italian, and he had invited me to go, knew I was dealing with miscarriages, and he was friendly with the Pope. He had made a movie that the Pope was in, like the only movie the Pope is in. Speaking like...
Which was not your movie.
Not my movie, nope. It's not This Is the Year. That'd be a very weird thing if Pope Francis popped up in that. But,
cameo.
Yeah, cameo. Hey, Papa. So he said, hey, I'm going to be going to Rome. I know the Pope. I can get you a meeting with him. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, of course. I'll go. Yeah, 100%. I actually brought Selena Gomez with me. We went to Rome together, her, my wife.
So it's a big day for
friend.
Pope Francis, too.
Yeah, it was a pretty fun day. Pretty fun day, that's for sure. And, you know, we flew out there, and I was ready to meet him, and I just wanted him to, like, you know, pray for me and maybe a little blessing or something. So when I met him, I said, Papa Francesco, per piacere, puoi pregare per me, mia moglie, per arriva un bambino. Which means, Pope Francis, please pray for my wife that we can have a baby. And Maria was right there, and he took our hands, he put our hands together, and he said, he put his hands on both of our, first he put our hands together, and then he put his hands on both of our shoulders, and he said, don't worry, you'll have a baby soon, don't worry. And then he put his hands like sandwich on top of our hands, and he said a prayer for us and a blessing, and then moved on. And literally, we had 3 miscarriages right before this. 3 miscarriages. We didn't know what to do. We were still figuring it out. Literally 9 months later, Pio was born.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so for those who don't have direct access to the Pope, go talk to your doctor about progesterone.
Go to any Catholic church.
Wow, that's amazing, man. So now that you're a father, what are some things you need to apologize to your dad for that now you understand?
Oh, so many things, man. Just like I appreciate a clean car. You know, now that I have like a kid and a daughter.
Your dad yells at you for clean car all the time.
Oh, wait, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, when I have my own car, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm exactly like him. Like, if someone drops a fry in my car, I'm like, what are you doing? Pick that up, throw that, you know. So, yeah, now it's, I totally feel so bad for wrecking all my dad's cars. And I now can just all this. I mean, you don't realize how much your parents sacrifice for you until you have your own family. So many different bills to pay, so many things to keep track of. That's all hard work and sacrifice. So I have to apologize to him for messing up his house, messing up the cars, messing up the backyard. I remember this one time we just had all these palm tree holes dug and all these palm trees brought in. And to plant a palm tree, a fully grown palm tree, you have to dig a huge hole. And he was out for the day, and I thought it was like little mini jacuzzis when I was a kid, so I filled it all up with water and just started making mud fights in it and jumping from one to one. My dad came home, saw all that, like right as the workers show up with the palm trees, and they're like, where are the holes? Like, we can't put it in this mud puddle, you know? So we had like 12 huge palm trees, and like a semi brought them in, you know? And my dad showed up and was like, I cost him, that was probably so much money. So many things like that.
Did he make you dig the new holes?
No, but he was not happy with me, that's for sure.
And then you learn about tax rates and how much money it costs to raise children in California, too. And you're like, I'm sorry about the holes, right?
Yeah. Oh, so many things like that. I love my dad, and he did a lot for us. So.
Oh, man. Well, the weather's changing, David, so it means our camping trip is almost over. I'm so glad you went camping with me for the first time, and apparently first time ever camping in general. But we like to finish. Obviously, really tough time right now. A lot of people hurting, a lot of frustration in the world. It's been a rough. 2020 has been. This is not the year, right? To quote a famous movie.
Yes.
So we like to end on an upbeat note here, and so. Number one, what's something or a couple things you're really grateful for?
I I'm very grateful for. I'm very thankful for my family. Like most importantly, I've gotten to spend a lot more time with my wife and daughter that I would have never not normally gotten to spend with them. I would have been out in meetings and away from the home. So it was a really great thing to get to spend that time with them and be with them for the entire quarantine and get to have family meals every night. Like that was huge for us. That was great. I'm thankful for the ability to work right now. Like very thankful for that. We have a animated show which is coming out next year on Netflix that has kept us very busy, and thankfully animation is still able to work right now. So I'm like incredibly grateful that I'm able to work right now. Like so thankful that
and a Reagan movie coming out, right?
Yeah, and I'm super happy about that. I'm playing young Ronald Reagan. Dennis Quaid is playing old Ronald Reagan. Not old, but him.
He's old
during
in
his years. You remember him, his presidential years and whatnot. So I'm super excited about that to play young Reagan.
It's gonna be a great movie. I cannot wait for that.
I got to
movie.
keep losing weight though, because I got to wear this like in the 50s. He was a lifeguard. And,
Reagan was ripped.
Yeah, he was in good shape, and so I got to wear this like wrestling singlet is what it is. That's what the lifeguards wore back then.
Yeah.
And one of the scenes is me as a lifeguard, and I'm like, man, I haven't wore something that skimpy ever. So
do you have a voice for Reagan you have to work on? Because like the old's like, oh, there you go again. But
yeah, I'm definitely working on just trying to nail some of his mannerisms and the pace in which he spoke. Just the way he talked was.
He's gifted, great communicator.
Great communicator. I think the mistake that a lot of people fall into when they're trying to play an exact character is like trying to be exactly like he was. I think you have to do your version of that person. Like, Joaquin Phoenix, Johnny Cash, like he did his version of Johnny Cash, which didn't disrespect Johnny Cash, definitely did him justice, but it was his version of Johnny Cash. So I think that's for sure what I'm going to do as well. Like it'll be my version of Ronald Reagan. I'm going to try to exude his charisma, try to exude his strength, his mannerisms, his likability, the pace in which he spoke, try to get his accent down. But I'm not going to like go for a word for word thing, where I'm like doing every little thing exactly the same, but I'll definitely try to embody his
and poor Maria, you walk around, Maria, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago?
Yeah.
All right, so you're grateful for work, family.
Yeah, grateful, but I mean those two things are huge to me.
Absolutely, man.
Like that's massive.
What's a perfect Saturday for you, man?
I love Saturdays. Saturdays are the days that I usually sleep in till about 8:30.
Okay.
Which is great because other than that, my daughter usually wakes up when the sun comes up during the week, so that's a great day. And I love Saturdays because I really don't work very often on Saturdays, or I'll do light work on Saturdays, but I get to get stuff done around the house that I want to do. I usually do a lot of things that aren't work that are needing to be done. Read books. Hang out with my wife. We usually do something fun. We'll watch a movie or something. It's a cooking day for us. Like we'll make something fun and we'll have a nice meal. So to me, it's mostly in the home, like relaxing in the home, not working in the home. That's just my ideal Saturday would be to cook a great meal with my wife, have a cocktail, relax, maybe watch a movie. That's like I'm very simple.
Awesome. Who do you owe big time?
My father, first and foremost, I owe big time. He wasn't for his support, I wouldn't be where I was today if it wasn't for him. He taught me how to be a man. My mother, who always encouraged me with my acting, my entertaining. If it wasn't for her, I don't know what I'd do. All the people in my career who helped give me my start, the people at Disney Channel, so many people along the way, every manager and agent I've ever had who's helped me. So many people out there. My wife for putting up with me and believing in me and being a support system to me, most importantly. She truly I love her because she sees the best version of me always. I see that in her eyes, and it makes me want to every day be that guy. There's this quote that I always love, that like true love looks past the fault of the individuals, refusing to believe they're a part of the whole.
Wow.
So I love, and she looks at me like that. So I owe her everything for that.
Well, you just got major points. That was actually my last question, was going to be, what does your spouse need to hear that you can't say enough?
That's a great question. You can't tell them you love them enough. You can't tell him you love him enough. I should tell her. I should tell her that more. It's one of those things where it just never gets old.
Yeah.
The more you say it, the more you mean it. It never gets old.
Totally. Well, I'm not going to answer all 5 of those. And since I'm not married, I don't have to answer the last one. But I will say that I am very grateful for you. And I remember I actually met Lorenzo, your brother, first.
Right.
And he took me to coffee, and he says, well, before you meet David, you got to talk to me first, right? And I sat down with him, and I was like, great. He's like, you got to meet my brother sometime, right? And y'all had me over, and we had a wonderful 4.5-hour dinner, and you brought out those donuts from that whatever terrible place that wasn't too good to be true.
Yeah.
And that was a year ago, and now I know I owe you big time, and so many cool business ventures on the horizon with you and your family, and but I'm grateful that it's friendship above all that, and I'm just happy you went camping with me, man. It means a lot.
Thank you for having me on my first real camping trip with our first real fire.
That's right, man. So it's been an absolute pleasure, David.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time by the fire, folks. Thanks for joining us, folks. If you want to help us out, and we're confident you do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button here on our YouTube channel. And if you ever feel like just listening to these, you can check us out on all major podcast streaming platforms by just searching for I Went Camping With. And there, you should also subscribe. Thanks again, folks.